Hi everyone, my name is Nina Melendez. I am the Virtual Content Specialist for multilingual learners and English language learners for mathematics grades 9 to 12. Today we're going to look at our Algebra 1 lesson, day 26, completing the square. And our main objective is going to be how can completing the square help us to solve some quadratic equations. We are going to focus primarily on the second part of our Explore, and our main keywords and ideas are going to be completing the square and what does it mean to describe, and how can I use the steps in completing the square to describe. So we are going to start by looking at our key vocabulary. So for completing the square, it is important to keep in mind my formula, my b divided by 2 squared. And keep in mind the steps to completing the square. So it says find your b. So your b is going to be the coefficient. The coefficient is the number next to the variable. The coefficient next to your x. You have x squared plus 8x plus 15. So my b would be 8. Okay? Then it says move your c to the other side of the equal sign. So in the case that you have a c value, like I do here, move it to the other side of the equal sign. Then you are going to add your formula to both sides. I'm going to add your formula to both sides. Make sure you're substituting your b. Then you are simplifying, and then you are factoring. Once you have factored, you have to determine whether it's asking you to solve or to convert it into a different form. In this case, we are looking at solving. So I would want to get rid of the squared by square rooting on both sides. Once I square root on both sides, remember there's a positive and a negative, which I take into account right here. And then I move over what I have left to solve for x. I have -4 plus 1, -4 minus 1. So these steps are going to be very helpful when you are asked to describe. So the first part of your Explore, you are asked to solve. You are asked to solve each equation by completing the square. So make sure you have your steps written down and that you are solving each equation by completing the square. Then it says, so after you solve them, look at the worked solutions. So you're going to look in the next slide at worked solutions, which we're going to look at for each equation. Then it says, find and describe the errors. Find and describe the errors. So that is what we are going to look at for this portion. How can I find the errors, keeping my steps in mind, and how can I describe those? Okay, so here it says, here is the work solution. So for the first problem, you should already have solved this. You should already have your answer. So now it says, here's the work solution for x squared plus 14x equals -24. And then, let me pick this, find and describe the error or errors in the worked solution. So I am going to use my steps to guide me. So my first step, move myself out of the way. My first step is find your b. So let me see. My b is 14. My b equals 14, right? Because that is the x. Okay, so I found my b. Then move your c to the other side. Well, that is already done. That is already done for us. They had already the -24. They already had the c on the other side. So my b was 14. So that's not wrong. That's correct. And move your c was given to us. Then let's see what the next step is. The next step says add b divided by 2 squared on both sides. So I'm going to substitute into b divided by 2 squared. So b divided by 2, so my b is 14. So 14 divided by 2 squared. 14 divided by 2 is 7. And 7 squared. So 7 squared. What is 7 squared? What is 7 times 7? Well, 7 times 7 is 49. So let me see. Wait a second. They have 28. They don't have 49. So, that's weird. And then they added 28 on this side, but that still doesn't account for the fact that I should have had a 49. I should have had a 49. So what is it that they did? What is it that they did? So they did two numbers that multiply to 49. So that we wanted two numbers that multiplied to 49 here and add to 14. 7 times 7 is 49. 7 plus 7 is 14. So now I found an error. I found an error. So how can I describe this? So it says add b divided by 2 squared to both sides of the equal sign. And the next one was substitute and simplify. So I can go ahead and write when they substituted into the formula, and you can go ahead and write your formula, your b divided by 2 squared. There was a computational. So computation means they added, subtracted, multiplied something wrong. Okay, there was a computational mistake. There was a computational mistake, giving them the incorrect constant. Giving them the incorrect, because it's not correct, constant. So using my steps, I was able to find my mistake, find the error, and use the words in my steps to explain and describe what was the error. Okay? So let's look at another example. Okay, so here it says, here is the work solution for x squared minus 10x plus 16 equals 0. Find and describe the error or errors. So I'm going to start working out. Remember, you should have already solved it, so you should already have your b for all of them. So I'm going to first find my b. B equals negative 10. Okay, so I found my b. What is step 2? Move your c to the other side of the equal sign. So my c is 16. So I'm going to then subtract 16 from both sides, right? Because I want to move this c. So minus 16 and minus 16. Now, wait a second. But I'm moving my c. If I move my c, I'm left with, so I'm going to work it out to make sure that all the steps are correct, equals negative 10. So I am left with x squared minus 10x. I'm going to leave a space blank, plus equals negative 16. Okay. After I move my c, it says add b divided by 2 squared to both sides. Add b divided by 2 squared to both sides. So I can do the calculations to see what that would be. So we have negative 10 divided by 2 squared. Negative 10 divided by 2 is negative 5 squared, which equals 25. So it's saying add 25, add 25. Okay, perfect. When I say negative 16 plus 25, I get 9. And okay, I seem to be on the right track. Let's see what went wrong with this. So up to here, I am good. I've done all the steps. I seem to be correct. So then I am going to factor. I want two numbers that multiply to positive 25, add to negative 10, negative 5 times negative 5, 25, negative 5 minus 5, negative 10, perfect. Now I need to square root this on both sides, right? Because we have that our next step, after we substitute and simplify, we factor and we solve. To get rid of something squared, I need to square root. Wait a second, but they just brought the 9, but the square root of 9 would be positive or negative 3. And then I would have been left with x minus 5. Therefore, the mistake was in that they forgot when they were solving, they forgot to do the inverse of something squared. So I can then go and state when they were solving, because that's in the step that they were at. When they were solving, they forgot to find the square root of 9 to be able to fully simplify. So remember, using this vocabulary, using your steps, you can describe and give your teacher and give your classmates a better idea of what your thinking is. I hope this has been helpful and have a good day.